Morning, everybody. Your friendly chief wizarding officer from One for All Social. You hear a lot of discussion about algorithms and how to get best timeline placement within the algorithm. And does the algorithm like certain things or dislike other things? And one of the things we do at One for All is we keep track of what those different algorithms look for. And we have some tools built in that can help you kind of boost your performance. But we're not going to talk about any of that today. What I'm going to talk about is we're going to do a deep dive into X, otherwise known as Twitter. So I may wind up calling it Twitter throughout this video. Apologies for upfront. It's very difficult for me to call it X. I got in the habit years ago of calling it Twitter. So instead of trying to say, hey, here's the algorithm is the algorithm, live with it right now, we're going to peel back the layer. One of the things Elon Musk did over there is he made the algorithm public information, so you can actually go look it up. But instead of you having to go dig through it and dissect it and everything, I went through and I took some notes and I said, okay, here's what it really means in English. I'll translate nerdy stuff to English. That's kind of what my PhD is good for. Even though it's in physics, I can kind of translate nerd to human. So let's talk a little bit about what the algorithm downgrades you for. Some sorts of content it looks at and goes, you know what, I really don't like that. We're not going to put that out. We're going to give that lower timeline placement. A lot of times you'll see people who have not really good content or accounts that are notoriously negative or bad, not really get really placement, despite the fact they have 1 million or 1.5 million followers. They love to start that argument. Well, these are the sorts of things that will get them downgraded. And a lot of times it gets called shadow banning. Yes, shadow banning has taken place, but a lot of times people will refer to it as shadow ban. And really what you do is you trip the algorithm a lot and it doesn't like what you have to say. So let's talk about that. So follow ratio. One of the things that gets you really bad timeline placement is following ratio. What the heck does that mean? Do you follow more people than follow you? Do you go in there every day and post, hey, if you follow me, I'll follow you back. I'll follow you. You follow me. Right? Do you do those little tricks where it says, hey, I'll only follow you if you follow me. And if somebody unfollows you, it's a whole big thing. And you see accounts with 26, 27, 30,000 followers that then are also following 30,000 people. And you look, there's a one-for-one correspondence. And really, it's just, people trying to get that number up. And that number to get good timeline placement is not that relevant anymore. You can see accounts with 300, 400, 1,000 followers get much better timeline placement than accounts with 30,000 followers. Therefore, their messages see much further because they're a very engaged account. That follow ratio really does kill you on Twitter now. Stick below about 80%. So, if you are following people, if you want to follow somebody new, that's fine. It's not gonna kill you as long as you're not saying, hey, look, I've got 1,000 followers. I'm going to go follow 5,000 people or 10,000 people or whatever it'll let you do. Okay, so reports and blocks. I can't stress this one enough. This is a major downgrade on X now. Twitter, whatever you want to call it. I call it Twitter. It's difficult for me to call it X. If your account is reported or blocked by a large number of people every time out the gate, it will downgrade your post. Remember, the algorithm is not looking for a particular post. The algorithm is not looking for, hey, this one's really interesting. We're going to go boost that one. What it does is it looks for accounts that it likes. It looks for, hey, Tim's account meets some criteria. Therefore, every time he posts something, I'm going to give it good placement because he doesn't trip my downgrades and he trips all my upgrades, right? So try to keep that in mind. It's not looking for a particular post. It's looking for overall account behavior. And one of the account behaviors it'll downgrade your account on quickly is if your account is commonly reported or blocked, you're going to get downgraded. What does that mean? It does not care if you report or block somebody. It only matters if you are reported or blocked. So try to stay positive and don't jump into arguments that can cause people to come in and report or block you. I know it's a little difficult. It's social media, and sometimes people love to fight, but try to be polite and stay positive and avoid those reports and blocks if you can. This one surprised me a little bit. Misspellings. A lot of times, especially on social media, people will try to make up words or use slang or use shortcuts or abbreviations. And the system really does downgrade you now if you use misspellings, and it's severe. And what they're doing is I think what this drives from is they're downgrading it for made up words like, a $ whole, right? So, is it really going after those or is it just going after having high quality content? I'm really not sure which one it's after, but if you spell things wrong or you make up your own words, you're getting downgraded. And I've seen accounts that do use curse words and are fine. So I don't think it cares about curse words that much. Links in posts are always downgraded. So if you post something on on X or Twitter and you say, hey, look, go look at my YouTube video, and you link it directly in the post, you're going to get downgraded, because every one of these sites, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, what they want is for you to stay in their site. They don't want you to leave. So the trick here is just put it as the first comment, or put it as the first response to your post if you want to have a link to someplace else, and then you'll do just fine. Um, X does do one thing very specifically. After 6 hours, it downgrades your post for timeline placement by sort of like 50%, maybe a little bit more, because it assumes it's stale. Because Twitter is very much a real-time kind of system. So if you do have a topic that you want to have discussed and you want to keep it sort of relevant or top of stack for people, posting something that's phrased differently 6 hours later will really kind of keep your momentum going on that discussion. So you repost on the same topic a couple times, kind of get you around that. Now, what makes good content? This is not really about the algorithm itself so much as it is kind of what do people look for on the site, and social media in general. Like, what are people really looking for on social media? Some of this is specifically geared towards X or Twitter, not towards any of the other sites. So keep that in mind, as each one of those sites are very, very different in what they look for. Pictures, the people on X love pictures, but you've got to have a good quality picture. It can't just be, oh, look at my, fuzzy picture that I took on a very old phone. I found it and I'm going to upload it. That's great, but it's not going to help you. But pictures that bring value have a greater impact. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you put out a picture of a puppy, that's fine. People are going to like that. But infographics, something that gives information, something that helps people understand something, people are interacting with more, and they really like. Yeah, puppies and kittens are nice. But something that's an infographic-y sort of thing tends to have much better impact. Videos are huge on Twitter. Even short form videos are getting a lot more interaction because people just happen to like videos better than they like reading things. I get it. We're in that kind of a world, especially if you're on the go. Watching on your mobile device is just faster. Remember, high definition. Twitter doesn't mind landscape format. Some of the others prefer portrait. Landscape seems to be the preferred one over on Twitter these days. But again, something that brings value, not just a video for the sake of video. And one of the ones that comes to mind is every once in a while it circles around where you see somebody out interviewing people on the street. You're like, oh, do you think I'm attractive? Well, okay, big deal, right? You can watch the video because sometimes the responses that are gotten are funny, but something that actually brings value tends to do much better. So one of the accounts I follow is I follow a bunch of people that do book reviews because I like to read a lot. I do some book reviews myself. Those sorts of videos actually do well. And if you're talking about a business or something that you're trying to influence people on, doing a video on that topic adds value, right? So especially original content. Content is king. Topical memes actually do grow accounts. So, remember, it is social media. You can't just be, hey, buy my product, buy my product, buy my product, follow me, I'm cool. Right? That's great. But you actually want to do things that people want to interact with. And if you follow what the trending list is, sometimes topical memes do actually help you grow accounts. And when you grow your account, you now have more followers that can see the stuff that you actually have the messages you want to get out there. So remember, don't just kind of spam people. Actually do things that are topical to the conversation of the day, especially on Twitter, because that conversation changes on a moment's notice. So if you have something that fits in with the conversation that's going on right now, that actually does help you grow your account quite effectively. So remember, people go on social media to relax. Some people do go on there to fight, but most people do go on there to relax. And you do have to be social. So you do want to find content that reflects you and the audience you want. So if you just post on anything in general and try to appeal to everybody on every topic everywhere, that's not really the best approach. I have a couple of things I like to discuss on mine, sort of 3 or 4, and I've got audiences for each one of those 3 or 4. And some of those audiences cross over because what you'll find is that if you're interested in a topic, people are interested in the other people that are interested in the topic you may share additional interests with as well. So you don't have to be completely one-minded, single track, especially on Twitter, but it is what it is. And yes, joining the conversation actually matters. More on this in a minute. And there are a couple of people who believe in the post and ghost approach, which is you post something and you never look at the comments and you never answer them. But I'll tell you why that's important in a minute. So what might get your account boosted? What might get your account upgraded? What might get your account seen more often and listed by the algorithm as one of those accounts that other people want to see and interact with? What are those upgrades? How do I get seen? Twitter Blue, it's a topic of discussion. Some people freak out about it, some people don't. It's less than $20 a month still, I think. They do have been messing with the pricing a little bit, but the algorithm for Twitter Blue, you pay the money every month. It does give you a at least 4x boost in your timeline placement. It might actually be a little bit more than that. But Twitter Blue really does matter. Um, and Twitter Blue gives you a couple of other advantages where it lets you post a longer post. It lets you put videos up that are much longer in length than otherwise seen, than you could otherwise load. But yeah, it's Twitter Blue really does make a huge difference. Uh, Now, this is an interesting one that I found kind of surprising. Comments from people that aren't following you actually will boost your timeline placement more than comments from people that are your followers. Comments from people that are your followers still get you timeline boosted, but people that aren't followers of yours that commented on your post actually boost you even more. So you might want to think about how to grab a wide audience of people that you haven't interacted with and sort of cast that net, even if you're talking about topics that you enjoy. So, like I like reading fiction books, so I will talk sometimes about sci-fi, other times about fantasy, sometimes about action thrillers, and you know it's kind of a neat to grab audiences that are into all three of those. And sometimes you'll get comments from people who are typically fantasy readers about action thrillers and sci-fi books. It's kind of nice to get that crossover. And if you're, into sports, if you comment about basketball, well, people into basketball might also be into football. So, how do you cast that wider net to grab that audience? Um, this was not surprising, but the numbers were replying to people that have replied to you gives a massive timeline boost. So if you'd like to do the post and ghost approach that some people do, where you post something and people can comment and you never interact, you're done, right? You're out. Um, if you go in and somebody leaves a comment and then you comment back and discuss the topic with them or have that interaction, and you don't have to answer every one of them, but everyone you do answer gives you a massive, and it's double digit boost. So it's up in the 10x range where that post will really start to get better visibility, and it gives you overall massive increases in the credibility of your overall account, so that when you're trying to get a post seen, Twitter actually knows, hey, this person doesn't just post, this person posts and interacts, right? They keep that conversation going, and Twitter, the platform, sees that as a very good thing, and it really does give you credibility to your account, and will give you overall much better timeline placement. Again, they do have some things that look for, do you have media? Do you have video? Do you have an image? And is it a good quality image? Not that it has to be 4K, but is it 1080? Is it at least something that's going to show up and look nice on a display? Because some people do social media on their phones, so you get a display this size. Other people are putting it on a huge monitor when they're at their desk. So a picture that looks decent here may not look decent when you put it in a 40-inch wide monitor or a 65-inch TV or whatever, wherever people are looking at it. So you want to have a good quality image. Remember, shaky videos are not going to get really good timeline placement. They do look for that kind of stuff. So that is peeling back that onion layer on the Twitter algorithm. There are other things that do give boost. They're much lower down the totem pole on how much it actually boosts you. But I think that gives you a great set of places to start and say, hey, look, how can I make my account better? And remember, their algorithm is completely open. So whenever it changes, we're going to go look again. And if there are updates to it, we'll do another video. And I'll probably do another one on some of those lower down the food chain kind of things too. But for the time being, everybody have a great day, and I hope you learned something.